I asked you which pieces you would like to see added to Planet Zoo 2, and you did not disappoint. From your countless submissions, I put together this community wishlist for Frontier to see. Think of it as a little postcard from us, builders. A collection of all the pieces we would love to see in Planet Zoo 2. I really hope they watch this video and implement most, if not all, of these ideas. And I'm sure they do. Frontier really does listen to our feedback and the voice of the community. I have split today's wishlist into two main sections, returning pieces and brand new pieces. Each of them is then divided into two subsections, my suggestions and your suggestions. And to make sure the very best ideas don't get lost in the crowd, I've marked the ones I consider absolutely genius and must have with a little star, so they can shine and get the attention they deserve. But I think it's time to wrap up the introduction. Let's start dreaming, shall we? As I said, the first category we're going to look at is returning pieces. I was actually surprised that so many of you chose to point out returning pieces instead of coming up with completely new ones. But I think it says a lot about Planet Zoo 1. It did such a great job at delivering memorable themes and building sets that there are still pieces we simply can't live without. But before we get to your suggestions, let me go through some of my own must-haves. Hey, it's the editing me. While putting the video together, I made my own custom background based on the official Planet Zoo 2 ones. I tried my best to recreate the fur pattern of a certain species. Can you guess which one it is? Let's see if you can get it right. Enjoy! I can't imagine building in Planet Zoo without these pieces, and I think that speaks for itself. First on my personal list is the base game stone trim from the classic set. I don't care that it's not proportions like the cornices it's based on. The texture, those sharp and incredibly thin edges. Everything about this piece is just perfect. The same can be said for the limestone brackets from the Europe pack, both the small and large variants. I don't think there's a recent build of mine that hasn't used them in some way. They are perfect for basically anything. Door arches, animal hiding boxes, and they even work surprisingly well with wood. Thinking about it, I wouldn't be mad if all of the non-gridded limestone pieces came back. Jetty planks and the Africa pack logs have to return as well. They're perfect for areas where you want to use weathered or rusty looking wood, and I honestly believe that if those Africa pack logs were climbable, they'd make an amazing climbing frame component. And the last item on my little arc of pieces that I would take with me into Planet Zoo 2 are the steel ropes from the Zookeeper's animal pack. I was going to say they should be thinner, but now that we have scaling, pretty much anything will be possible. And why did I choose them? For custom netting, you silly. I know we will be getting an automated system for that in Planet Zoo 2, but when it comes to more unique and unusual structures, like the one in the picture right now, we'll probably still have to build them by hand. And that's exactly where these ropes could shine. Now on to your suggestions. I will start with the strangest one. At least to me, because I have never heard anyone speak fondly of this pack. It's the wood from the Arctic pack. At first I found it kinda weird, but now that I look at it, I actually think it's a pretty good choice. It has a texture like nothing else in Planet Zoo. I just wish it was recolorable. Next is everyone's favorite plaster, and Paladin Dano on X specifically pointed out the North African pieces. Can't argue with that. They really fill a niche that nothing else in the game does. And hey, I've used that plaster trim countless times. It has these perfect, smooth yet incredibly sharp looking corners. It won't come as a surprise that the tropical pack temple walls were mentioned a few times as well. I remember the day they were introduced. The classic set bricks and the painted bricks were immediately put into the corner of the shame. And rightfully so. I just wish these bricks were a little more uniform in size. When you're an architect, it's hard to accept them on a contemporary building. But since we're talking about the tropical pack, I remembered another set of pieces I'd love to see return. The stone pieces. Especially the stone trims and those little leaf ornament pieces, you know, the quarter ones. They have an amazing texture and are fantastic for detailing. Would you believe I once used them to make something that looked like realistic concrete? Well, you would. I'm leader, after all. And then we have the later game utilitarian pieces, as user all the little worms described them. Thin metal rods, mesh panels and pieces like that. It's hard not to agree. This would allow us to build much more realistic looking zoos from day one of Planet Zoo 2. I would also throw in the metal rods suggested by Jess7930, and I completely agree with her. We should be able to make them pitch black though. I always hated that the darkest the Australian beams could get was dark grey. And then Mr. Fodor, ahead of his time as always, suggested a Mekaru. Mr. Fodor, as much as I like you, nobody wants a mecha roof. Moving on, many of you pointed out that each and every variety of wood from Planet Zoo 1 should return, but it was especially noted that the conservation pack wood should make a comeback, which I personally don't like at all. But hey, it's the community wishlist after all. The conservation pack itself also appeared a few times, especially its backstage pieces and air conditioning ducts. Personally, I would add a bit more variety to those. At least here, in Poland, we see circular ducts used much more often than rectangular ones. But I guess that's actually a brand new piece suggestion. So I have an idea. Time for new pieces. Let's start with my suggestions. To start things off slowly, the first pieces that come to my mind are concave and convex corners. It might sound simple, but this would be a really big deal for me. I'm currently working on a little surprise, and I've spent countless hours trying to achieve something that these pieces could give me right from the start. Simple arch shapes that could save me thousands and thousands of minutes. A wider range of arch shapes in general would come in handy, especially if we could retexture them. But I have already talked about that in one of my previous videos. If you want to know more, the link is on the screen right now. Next, let's move on to something Jurassic World Evolution 3 has just implemented: borderless glass. And I'm not talking about those thick panes from Planet Zoo 1. I'm talking about thin, truly borderless panes, just like in Jurassic World Evolution 3. And just like in JWE, I'd love them to stack without those darker seams between the panes, so you can make your glass walls as large as you want. But Jurassic World Evolution 3 also introduced more glass shapes, like cones for example. For Planet Zoo 2, I would love to see glass tubes. They would be perfect for custom aquariums and exhibits. Next on the list are door and window handles. Such a simple thing, yet we didn't have them in Planet Zoo 1. We had to make custom ones out of brackets, or sink the in-game doors into the wall until only the knob poked through. Planet Zoo 2 has a perfect opportunity to solve this problem with a simple set of dedicated pieces. Talking about windows, custom windows are next. And I'm not talking about modular pieces, I'm talking about reactive pieces. Ones that interact with walls in the same way that gates interact with fences. To make my intentions clear, I made this little model in Grasshopper. It's a little program from Rhino. You would simply have a block that you move through the wall. It would automatically carve out a hole in the wall and recess itself, making it look just like a real-life window. You could then adjust the width and the height of the window, change how regular or irregular its individual parts are, and even choose the number of mullions. A tool like this could save an incredible amount of time and make realistic building much easier and more accessible. And to top of my list, I would love to see modular roof pieces get their gridless counterparts. It's a real shame that walls have their gridless panel versions while roofs didn't get the same treatment. It's a simple thing, Frontier. But when implementing them, please make a 1 by 1 meter variant. Pretty please. Thanks. Staying on the subject of roofs, but moving on to your suggestions, we have better roof pieces. Sometimes you want to make a curved wall, but there aren't many roof pieces that actually work with it. Thatch roofs fill this niche quite well, but that's pretty much it. So your suggestion is to create roof elements that correspond with every single wall piece in the game. And I completely support this idea. There was also a suggestion for a wall tool that works just like the fence tool. You simply drag it to the length you want, set its height, and you are done. And honestly, this would work really well with the custom window idea I mentioned a minute ago. Chairs, furniture, sinks and tables, all as modular building pieces, rather than guest restaurant equipment. I think I couldn't agree more. If you want to make a quick, nice looking interior, you don't want to spend hours building chairs out of hinges, or unless you are me. That's why a medium-sized selection of pre-modeled furniture pieces would do wonders in Planet Zoo 2. Then someone suggested flexi-color climbable rope pieces, but someone else took it a step further and suggested reactive rope pieces, which I also simulated in Grasshopper. You would be able to change the position of the rope's endpoints and adjust the amount of sag to your liking. Primate lovers, what do you think? I think it's cool as Mr. Oedicus threw a singular brick at me, and as much as my head hurts, I love the idea. And finally, individual pixels, said Mr. Luke. Okay, I'm done. Let's end it here. I really hope you enjoyed this video format, and I want to thank from the bottom of my heart everyone who sent in their suggestions and helped make this video possible. I really love this community. And I think you know that. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider leaving a like, maybe comment your favorite feature, or point out something I didn't mention, and maybe even be a very kind person and bless me with a subscription. You will hear from me very soon. Siema na rapa, cześć, ello!